Hi, my name is Jody King Colegrove, and I wanted to share with you a family recipe that we have used in our family for beef jerky. And it's a really great way to have a protein in your life and be able to have kind of like a snack. So I wanted to share with you how to make beef jerky. So first of all, you get some meat at the store. The recipe I have calls for 1.5 pounds of either brisket or rump roast. And I find that that's the best, and I'm finding that sometimes you can have them cut it at the store, or you have to bring it home and cut it. So you have to do it very fine cutting it. I'm going to be doubling the recipe today, but typically you can kind of just do how much you would like to do. It's nice to kind of get a whole section done at one time. So a lot of times what you do, you can either wash the meat if you'd like to. You can also take off the fat portions, but you have to remember the beef jerky, you do have the fat with it, and the fat also helps you with the protein keep your your energy going. And so the protein with the fat together is what sustains your energy. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of cut this just kind of lightly, and you're trying to do it kind of thin, but it doesn't have to be perfect, and you have like parts that are kind of hanging off, and that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of break and cut all this up, and I'll show you what the next thing to do is. Okay. All right, we've got all the meat cut up now, and now we're going to start preparing the pan to marinate the meat. What I do is I put all the juice in first, then put in the strips of meat by layer and covering them up with the juice, and then you put it in the refrigerator and let it marinate overnight. Sometimes you want to turn the top layer if you don't feel like it's covering enough. That would be something to do. And then you would start baking it the next day. So let's go ahead and combine the ingredients. So the first ingredient is going to be liquid smoke. Now I'm tripling my recipe, so you would have 1 tablespoon of liquid smoke. Okay, so I'm actually going to put in 3 because I'm tripling my recipe. All right, there we go. There's 1, there's 2, and 3. All right, the next thing we're going to do is Worcestershire sauce. And so that one we have a 1/2 cup of Worcestershire sauce. So I'm going to be doubling that, or say tripling it. All right, so I finished up putting in the Worcestershire sauce. So the next thing we're going to do is soy sauce. So with soy sauce, we need 1/4 cup. So like I said, I'm doubling or tripling the recipe, and I'm going to put in a 1/2 cup just because I'm doubling it. All right. All right, so the next thing I'm going to put in is Lowry's seasoned salt. Okay, so I have 1 teaspoon of that. So I'm going to put in 3 teaspoons. And I'll just kind of, you'll eventually kind of stir it up and put it in. So I'm just kind of doing it. All right. Then what we have is garlic salt. Okay, and the garlic salt we have 1/3 teaspoon. So because I'm tripling it, I just am going to get 1 teaspoon. All right, then the last ingredient, believe it or not, is 1/3 teaspoon of black pepper. Okay, so because I'm tripling it, I'm going to put in, and if you want it more hotter, you can certainly experiment with peppercorns and things like that, but I've found that especially with kids, it's good to have it kind of medium spicy. Okay, so then I just kind of take one of the spoons and kind of just stir that up basically, and kind of all let it bring together there. Okay, then I take my meat that I've all cut up, and I just start laying it in strips, and go one way, like go this way, and then lay it this way, and that way you have it all together. All right, now we have, I'll kind of show this up. We have all the meat innards in the in the pan and laid out, and then you can see that the fluid is kind of still on the top, so you've kind of filled it all up. So I just put this over the top, just ceramic, and then I put it and marinate in the refrigerator for overnight, and then we will lay it out. It's really helpful to use pans. I'm not sure if you can see that. It's really helpful to use pans that are kind of dark, okay, so, because that really helps it not, it will stain the pans. So don't mind using, 3 or 4 pans that you don't mind getting really stained. And so I think that's one tip. And so when that gets done marinating, we'll lay it out and we'll put it in the oven. All right, so we have marinated the meat overnight, and so now we're going to place it in the pan. What I had suggested before is that you get pans that are kind of already dark, because what I have found is that the meat will tarnish it and things like that, and you'll be cleaning them a lot. So just get pans that are basically that you can just use for this purpose. And 2 or 3 a lot of times, because you're doing a double recipe. So I'll go ahead and start laying that out right now. All right, so I just lay it right next to each other, like that. And you go all the way down, and you can put it as close as you can and kind of lay it out flat. All right. And you go all the way across the pan, and then you just kind of start in the next row. And then if you have like little pieces that come up, you can place those like in these areas that are still open. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and lay out all this meat as much as I can on this pan. And then we'll go ahead and place it in the oven. We put the oven at 250, and I typically find that that's a good amount to put it on, because then it will dry quicker than just kind of having to do this like all day kind of thing. So that's a good time to use. And I would say that typically I set then the timer to check the meat about every half hour, especially like for the first half hour, and then from there you go 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and you can just kind of judge it so you can see kind of what you need to do. So I'm going to start turning these sideways so I can get some of these in, because they're starting to kind of run out of room here. Like I said, they will shrivel up, and you'll actually find that they'll start draining the liquid off. And so probably within about 15 minutes, if you wanted to check it, you can go ahead and drain off the excess water or marinade that comes out. And you can also double it up in the oven. In other words, let's say that I'll have 2 layers, and then you have a couple layers, and put as many layers as you want in there, and it doesn't matter. All right, so I'm going to lay all that out, and then we'll get back with you when we pull it out of the oven. All right, so we've laid out all of our beef jerky, and so we put it in pans in the oven at around 250. And we've also, about 15 minutes, I've dumped off the excess marinade just into the sink, and then added any extra beef jerky to the pans that I haven't been able to have, or they were still left in the marinade. You will have some marinade still left over in the pan, and so I basically threw that away. It's not good to use again. So now we're ready to take it out of the oven. All right?
Got it.
All right, so taking it out of the oven, and it's a little bit, obviously the pan is a little bit hot. Now what we find is that you're wanting it to be a little bit, you have to kind of turn it over every so often. So when it gets to a certain point, then I start turning them over, and I keep turning them over as I go. And that way you're getting it good on both sides. Eventually you'll kind of get it so that it looks like beef jerky you would normally get from the store. And it would also be dried out and be able to kind of crack in the middle. And you don't have any kind of some spots that are kind of light inside is the best way to put that. And I'm figuring from, I did a batch yesterday, that it typically takes about maybe an hour, hour and a half to do that.
10 or 5 minutes.
All right, so you pretty much is done with it when it's pliable like that and will break easily, and that you don't have any kind of like light spots in it. Sometimes you will have areas where it is a little bit more hard, they're thicker, and so they won't be able to break very easy, but that's still good. I would store it in a place that is nice and cool, like the refrigerator in like a plastic bag, and that does really good.